If your message is strong, but your presence doesn't match it, this is your wake-up call. Hi, I'm Stephanie Rose, founder of West Rose Media, and this is Icons, the podcast where we build brands that look expensive, lead movements, and actually make you money. If you're ready to stop blending in and start being seen as the leader that you really are, hit subscribe and let's make you unforgettable. Now, let's go to the show. So what we are doing here today is we are celebrating hitting 10K on Instagram. I'm very excited. We're also celebrating the success of the new account. So for anybody who missed it, I had an account that I had built for over 7 years, and then Meta decided to take it down for no reason with no appeal. And I was super frustrated. I was super mad. There was kind of nothing I could do other than just suck it up and move on. So what I did is I created a new account within, I don't know, like 5 hours of the old one being removed. And I said, you know what? This is going to be a great opportunity for me to prove what I'm doing. Prove that the proof is in the pudding and we can actually make this happen. So what we are going to talk about today is not just some strategies for growing your Instagram account. We're also going to go over some questions, but we're also going to talk a little bit about your brand and how that plays into what you are posting, because way too many people think that strategy and brand are really separate, that like your social media and your brand are these two completely different entities, and they are not. They have to play into one another. Otherwise, you run into some major problems, right? So what we need to focus on when we're doing this is that the brand you're building is like the personality of the business. It is the thing that people are drawn to. It's like when you meet a new person and you want to get to know them, you ask them like a couple questions like, what's your job? Where do you live? Right? But those don't tell you much about the person, because you could meet two different accountants who both live in Texas and they could be completely opposite people. The personality part is when you come in and you start asking questions like, okay, so like, what kind of things make you tick? What kind of things do you believe in? What kind of things do you love? What kind of things do you hate? Those are the kind of things that show somebody a personality when you're speaking to them in real life, and also when you're growing a brand, right? So we need to focus on those kinds of things that make your brand pop. They make it different. They make it so that you are distinct from everyone else. Because so often when people come to me, they're like, hey, I've been posting every single day and I'm just really not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any like people coming to talk to me. I'm not seeing anybody reaching out to me. I feel like I'm screaming into the void, and it's super annoying. And I get that. I get that. Like one of my clients who I'm working with right now, we just started working together, and she was at 200 followers for like 2 full years. And she posted almost every single day. So when people are like, you just need to be consistent, that's not actually true, because if you're saying the wrong thing, you can be as consistent as you want, but you'll never actually get the results you want, because you could just be screaming into the void. Nobody is hearing you. There's another client who I just started with as well, and she was posting 3 times a day. And she was like, I've been following this like Instagram guru guy. I don't know, some guy. She's like, he's famous. Do you know him? And I was like, no, I don't. I don't listen to people like that, because I don't want like tips and tricks that aren't going to work. I want real growth. So she said that he told her it doesn't matter what you post, just as long as you're posting 3 times a day. So she was posting 3 times a day and actively losing followers, like not just a couple, a lot. Like she was losing like 10 to 20 followers a day. So that obviously made a serious problem for her, because she was working so hard. Like 3 posts a day is uncanny. That's crazy. Unless you're in like a really rapid growth phase, there's no reason to be doing 3 posts a day. So I told her, I was like, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, but you need to stop posting 3 times a day. And I don't want you to post even one more time until we're more clear on what you're actually doing. So she was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, like literally, this is what we're doing. Um, I want you to be the person that everybody can talk to. Oh my God, what just happened to our video here? Sorry, guys. Suddenly we're in a That was super weird. Apologies. If you were on the video with us, all of a sudden we were in a weird little hotel room situation. Okay, back to what we were talking about. Um, so what we were talking about, she was posting 3 times a day and nothing was working. She was losing followers and she was getting super frustrated because she was like, I told my partner that I really wanted to have this big life change. They want to move somewhere else, and she needs to basically replace her income with online income so that they can live remotely. And it wasn't working. It was like, in fact, getting significantly worse. And she felt terrible because she was like what we're doing here, like it depends on if I make this work or not. And she's like, I'm trying so hard and I'm still not getting what I want. And I was like, well, I can tell you exactly what's going on. Is because your posts are way too vague. They're too many because if people start following you and then all of a sudden 50 things show up and they're all vague and they don't speak to anyone, they're going to be like, well, this isn't for me. And they're going to immediately unfollow. Because if I'm scrolling and all of a sudden I see 4 posts in a row of somebody and what they're talking about is 1000% irrelevant to me, I'm not going to keep following that person, right? Like that's the logic. But she's like, well, this guru told me to do that. And I, with so much love, want to say, unless the person you're following and listening to has a life or business that you're like, hell yeah, I would love that, then stop taking their advice. Just please. With so much love, please stop that. So, what do we want to do instead? Well, for both of these 2 clients that I'm talking about, the thing that we needed to do immediately was clarify what they were doing. And so much of this leads into brand. And this is why I say brand and social media can't be separate. They've got to be together. Because neither of them had a distinct brand that showed who they are, who they work with, and why it matters. And those are like the three key things. And if you can't succinctly answer those like really clearly, then you've got a major problem. So how do we answer these questions? Usually people go on like AI, ChatGPT or something. They're like, this is who I am and this is what I want to do. Can you write me a thing? And it's like, I help women live their true self life through love and acceptance or something along those lines. And then they put that on Instagram and they're like, nailed it. So good. But it means nothing. Like you help women have a great life, or you help women with clarity or to feel confidence. That could be anything. That could be a gym membership. That could be food service. That could be a house cleaner. That could be a somatic healer. That could be a life coach. That could be a librarian. That could be anybody. You need to be incredibly way more specific when you're talking about these things. So when I do my work on this, I'm always talking about how like my big main overreaching goal is that, sorry, plant, my big overreaching goal is that I want to help women and queer people make more money so we can change the world to be better. Because God, am I sick of opening the news and seeing the shit show, right? So that's my overreaching thing. But I don't go on social media and only say that, because then people are like, well, how do you do that? So I have to be more specific. And the more specific I am, is that I say, I help women and queer people build brands that get them to their specific goals. And how do I do that? I do that through courses and coaching. I do that through photography and branding. And both of those things work together to give them what they want, right? So that's way more specific. And if I just said, I want to make you make money, I could probably get views with that because people love to hear that. They're like, I want to make money. Yes, please. But if I don't drill it down to what I actually do to help them, they might be like, oh, well, I already have that. I need a business idea. Because that's not who I work with. I'm not working with people who are looking for a brand new business idea. I'm working with people who already have a business and they want to grow it. So the more specific you can be on what you do, and then that little last part really led me into my next thing is who you're working with, then you can be more specific. So this whole time you've heard me say women and queer people like 10 times already. Like I maybe said that already 10 times today. So I say that so often because I want to be specific. Do I not want to work with men? Well, not really, because women are my niche. I love working with women. Could I help a man make money? Probably, but there's like 10 million bros helping men make money. This is my niche. This is my lane. I'm staying here, right? Any man with a podcast can buy crypto. What we're working on is women who want to change the world. The other thing is that I'm not unafraid to say who I am, and that generally attracts people who are more open-minded, have politics that reflect mine, because at the moment, politics are incredibly divided. If you take one look at me and my wife, who is a woman, if you're on the other side of politics, you don't even think that people like me deserve human rights, let alone want to work with me. So saying who I am truly eliminates a good chunk of people. So I've already narrowed it down pretty specifically to who I work with. Then within my content, I'm also going to give signals, I'm going to give keywords, and I'm going to give lifestyle things that it's going to get more and more apparent, like anybody who signed up for this today, right? You probably are here because you were like, oh, this resonates with me somewhere along the line. Some part of my story that I shared, you were like, hell yeah, I want to hear more about that. So I share the story of coming out later in life. I share my story of being a mom and running this business while also doing that. I share my story of going from being like incredibly broke to having this business that I love, because all of those things are important to me. And those things help people self-select themselves into, am I the right person to work with you? Because they can see it, right? They can watch the story, understand what the heck I'm talking about, and say, yeah, you know what? That is me. I think I'm the person who they want to work with. So having this personality of your brand, and by personality, again, I'm saying these are the things that dictate the differences in your brand from other people, not just in your industry, but other people online in general. This is what we're using to shape that. We're not just standing there and doing a post that lists every single thing about you. What we're doing is we're building this story over time. That's what a brand becomes. You're building a story over time. Like if you think about like Coca-Cola, for instance, that brand has been around forever, and it's incredibly clear what they do. They've had one product. I mean, they have other products, but their main product has been one product forever. They don't waver. They don't start 20 other things. They're literally selling one thing, and they keep selling it. Like you go to any old town on the prairies and there's like a super old Coca-Cola sign painted on the brick. Like that's still relevant for them because they've stuck with it and they've continued on. And that's what we want from your brand. Not saying you can never change, but we want these through lines of like where you're going and what you're doing to stay the same no matter what. And that's what's really important when you're building a brand online, because obviously we're not going to be going and painting things on old buildings like Coca-Cola. We're doing our own version of that online. We're doing that through things like podcasts, through Substack, through LinkedIn, through Facebook, through Telegram, all of these places that you're coaching and you're teaching and you're talking and you're engaging with people. All of those places you need to be able to have this same version of you and your brand come forward. And if it's too generic, nothing will come of it. Nobody will listen, nobody will care. And that seems really rude and rough, but it's true. If you're not giving something specific enough to say, yes, that's for me, or no, that's not for me, that's the other thing here is you're also very, very much excluding people, right? We want people to say, nope, this isn't for me, as much as we want people to say, yes, this is for me. And so many people are afraid of like offending others and things like that. But the more you can say, this is specifically who I want to work with, and this is specifically who I am, the better you're going to do. And people are like, I don't want a niche. I just want to be free. And I'm like, okay, but do you know what the cost of freedom is? You know, those people who are always on vacation and they have all of these fun things and they get to take work off in the middle of the day and go do things. It's because they built a structure around their life that allows them the freedom. It's not because they're winging life. So think of it in that same way. Build a structure for your brand and your business so that it gives you the freedom you want later on in life. That's what we're building here. Like I know my structure is I work with these specific people. Every time I go off book and work with someone who isn't in my niche, then I regret it because it doesn't end up working well because this is who I'm really, really good at working with. So when we're building this brand persona, what we really, really want is for people to be able to, within an instant, understand who we are, what we're doing, and who we're working with. And this clarity is honestly 90% of the battle with most people, especially if you're an online coach or a spiritual entrepreneur. Raise your hand in the comments if you're one of those, because those are the people that come to me and they're like, I joined this thing and this mentor said I was going to make all this money and then I didn't. And I ended up just being, in a sea of other people doing the same thing. I hear that so often. And it's because they taught you how to do one skill. They didn't teach you how to build a brand. And those are the things, if you can learn how to build a brand and grow it on social media, you could do anything. Like truly, the people that I teach, they go forward and do so many things because you're learning a skill. That's why I was able to rebuild my account. It's been 37 days now, I think. I don't know, 37 days, 36 or 37 days from when my account was at zero. And now there's 11,000 followers and we're about to hit 1 million views. From an account that was at zero in 37, that's less than 40 days. So when people are like, oh, fast growth can't happen, bullshit. You just need to know the strategy and you need to know how it works to get there. So the very first thing is if I had tried to do this growth and I wasn't clear on my brand and who I was, none of it would have worked, right? That's the caveat I tell everyone is like, I already had a brand. I already knew exactly who I was talking to. I already knew exactly who I was selling, and I already had proof it worked. So those are like the base things. People are like, teach me how to grow. And I'm like, what are you selling? And they're like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, yes, it does. That has to be the base of what you're doing. So when we're thinking about this, all of the things I just told you about what is the personality of the brand, makes it different, all of these things, write all of this out and start to build your like one sentence of what you do, who it's for, and why it's different than other people. And that has to be the core of everything you say from now on your brand. So every time you post, I want this to be the core of it. Even if you don't say the specific words, if you're not talking about this, don't post. Like I would literally, people tell you, be consistent. I would rather you not post than post the wrong thing because content isn't neutral. And I say this like 10,000 times. Anybody who's ever worked with me is like, oh my God, Stephanie, stop saying that. But it's true. Content isn't neutral. If you are posting things that people don't resonate with, it takes them further away from working with you instead of closer. Even if you're posting things they resonate with, but you're training them not to buy you. This is a thing that people fall into easily. They're very relatable, but nobody will buy from them. So maybe you're getting comments, maybe you're getting shares, but nobody's buying. Then that means you're being way too relatable and you're training your audience not to buy from you. So I want you to pause posting until we figure out exactly what it is that makes you different and how you are going to transform their life, and then start speaking about that. And then you can start posting again. But I literally tell people, and it seems counterintuitive, but I'm like, stop posting, stop it. You're cut off until you figure this out. And people hate that. They're like, stop, no, Stephanie, don't, it's not true. And I'm like, yes, it is. You have to listen to me. But it's true. That's what you need. So the basis of that is what we're going to build on. Once you have that core down, then we're going to move into the portion of this where we're actually growing this social media. So how do we do that, Stephanie? Well, I'm going to talk you through the strategy. The very first thing that I did when I started this new account was I told the story. A compelling story will sell things more than any proof ever. We know this. We know this because of politicians. We know this because of teachers. We know this because of movies. They're selling you something, right? But they're telling a story. So I started with the story. I started with the story of not only how I got my account taken down, but how I built the business. And I wove the two together, right? So what I was telling, the story I was telling on my original account before it got taken down was the story of how I grew up religious, came out later in life, was broke and like in debt from getting divorced, and then built up this multi-six-figure business. Like, that was the story I was telling when my account got taken down. So I was like, those posts were taking off like wildfire. And I was like, we know this part's a compelling story, right? We pulled out the most sensational parts of it. And then I took the story of the new account getting taken down, or the account getting taken down, and I looped both things together. And I said, all I was trying to do was show women that they can have financial freedom no matter where they came from, no matter where they started from, and they shut me down. Well, that's not stopping me. I'm doubling down now. Instead of telling the story the other way, which I could have done, which could have been like, I'm so sad. I worked on this for 7 years and now it's gone and it's 21 days before my wedding and I have all these bills and people can't find me to pay me anymore and I'm so sad. I could have told that story. But that's not a story that's going to lead people to any kind of action. People would have been like, oh, that's sad. And it might have gotten some shares. But nobody would have been like, I'm rallying behind you. They would have just been like, oh, that sucks for that poor girl. Moving on. But instead, I was like, I'm rebuilding. I'm going to double down. They're all going down because of this. Are you with me? And people were like, yes, I am. Let's go. That kind of bringing people along with you when you're looping in your stories is so important because you can have the most compelling sales pitch in the world, but if it doesn't tell people why they should join you on what you're building, then what is the point for them, right? Because if you know from day one, you go to like a service or a product. If it's just strictly a product, people see it, they like the product. They're like, this looks nice. What are they immediately going to do? They're going to go to Amazon and see if they can find it cheaper, right? Unless you have a compelling reason or story why they should buy it from you. Same with selling coaching or selling online sales or services of any kind. Unless there's a compelling reason why you are the one that they should work with, they're going to go price shop, right? And people come to me all the time. They're like, other photographers are cheaper. I'm like, you're right. I agree. And if you're choosing based on price, then go find someone cheaper. You'll be 1,000 times happier. I promise you. And like, no shade, giver, off you go. Because I'm not working with people who are number crunching if they can afford someone to take a picture for them. I'm working with people who are like, I built something big, but I want it bigger. What's the strategies we're going to use to grow this to 1 million? Like, that's who I want to work with. So the pricing is never part of what I bring forth to people. And so often people are like, oh, I need more people in my program. So I'm going to cut the price. Or I'm going to say it ends in 3 days, or they're going to try and create urgency and all these other ways. And what you're really doing is you're training people that you're giving discounts. You're training people that you're cheap. You're training people that you are a discount. None of those things, if you're having a luxury brand, are going to work for you. If you're selling one tiny product and it is the cheapest version, then yeah, use that strategy. But I don't think anybody here is doing that. So what are we going to do instead? We're going to use these compelling stories. We're going to pick out the most sensational part of your story, and we're going to lead with that. And then we're going to build upon that. So I used the story of coming out, losing the account, right? So the first thing I did was a talking head. And by talking head, I mean like literally the phone is here and it's just my head in the screen. Like that's what I mean by a talking head video. Above my head in text, I had the most sensational part of that was that I lost my account and I'm going to rebuild it to 100K. Could I have said 10K? Yeah, that's way less exciting though. Nobody wants to watch you build to 10K. They want to watch you build to 100K, right? Both can be true. I could be building to 1 million, but I decided to choose 100K because that's something I can reasonably get to in this time frame and people can celebrate with me. So again, we're telling that story. The next post that I did was a short 8-second video with a trending audio with that very same hook. And then in the caption, like the written out caption, I told the story that I said in the talking head video just earlier. What does this do? This gives 2 versions of the same video for 2 different users on Instagram to enjoy and watch, and it gives the users from the shorter video the option to watch the longer video. Why does this matter? Well, people use Instagram differently. Some people are just literally like doom scrolling, click, 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 click. Other people are like sitting, watching a whole video and then clicking through to the next thing and watching that whole video. Instagram tracks all of this. They know who's doing what. So you need to have the option for each person. Because if you only have the 8-second videos, it is incredibly hard to get an entire point across in 8 seconds. If anybody's tried to do it, you know this is true. You can write as many things as you want in the caption, but if people aren't stopping because of the headline up here, like the literal text headline up here, then they're not going to read that and they're just going to move on. So what is the 2 strategies with this? The talking head video is giving context. It's bringing in emotion. It's bringing in behind the curtain type vibes. Like people want to I peek behind the curtain like, oh my God, this girl who says she knows how to do this really well lost her account. Isn't she so sad? What happened? How did the account get taken down? What is she going to do now? Like those are the questions we're answering with the video. Whereas the 8-second one is literally just pumping views so that we can get more people to watch the first video. It's literally just strategy. That's all it is. Why do we have an 8-second video? Because by the time they read the tagline, click on the caption to look at more, they've watched the video 1 or 2 times. By the time they've read the entire caption, they've watched it 6 times. So then there's 6 more views on that account, on that video. Then they're going to be pushing that Instagram, the algorithm is going to be pushing that to more people because it's already got 6 views from just 1 user. right? Everybody's following me so far. The first video is giving the context. It's giving the thing that's going to rally people behind me, right? That second video is probably going to have less people following from that specific video, but it's going to encourage them to move over to the other video. Especially now with Instagram, you can link another reel. So if you're not accessing that feature, make sure you do. Every time you have a short video, I want you to choose the selection where it says link another reel, and I want another reel with the exact same topic that you're linking to. And it, like, the caption is like more about this, or learn more, or the whole story, or I tell it all here. Something that's like, well, I want to know more. I'm going to click and I'm going to continue. Because we don't want to work against how people operate on the app. We want to work with it. There's no point working against human nature. So those are the first two videos that I posted. Then I did another version of that first video, talking more about my story, what got me here, and my plans to move forward, right? So I didn't just say, hey, my account got taken down. I said, hey, I'm building it to this, and this is why, and this is how. And then I said, I'm going to take you behind the scenes. And I started telling people, like, I literally from day one have been posting, this is why I posted this, and this is how I did it. Because I have no interest in gatekeeping. Like, you could literally go and search how to do every single one of these things. But the problem is there's so much information out there that trying to pick and pull what's going to actually work is very difficult. And that's where most people get into trouble, is they're like, okay, I have like 10 ideas and I'm going to implement all these 10 different ideas and none of it's cohesive. That's why I've been using the strategy of the long video, the short video, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, because it's serving this purpose. I'm giving them the emotion, the story, the reason they should follow me. And then I'm luring them in with that same hook and pulling them over to that same video. So back and forth is what we're doing with this. That is a purely growth strategy. The other thing we're doing with all of these is we're having, if you've ever seen on anybody's caption or on their posts, so they say, comment this keyword. So the link for mine, for the giveaway, for this one particularly, was 10K. So what am I doing there? I'm encouraging them to take a next step with me. So every post should have some kind of call to action. My very first 4 posts was just literally follow me. That's all I wanted at that point. I was like, just follow me and then we'll talk more. But now that we've gotten some momentum with these new followers, we're telling them what we want to do. Because if you just inspire somebody and then you leave them hanging, they're never going to follow the next step. They're never going to continue this with you. And we really want them to, right? That's the whole point of us posting on social media, is we're like, hey, we want to grow our client base, or we want to, whatever the goal is. So what we want is to have something to lead them forward. So mine started obviously with the followers, and then I pulled them into a freebie. So I have 2 freebies. I have one that's just like evergreen. They can watch it whenever they want. For this one, obviously we did a live one because it's more fun, because we hit 10K and we're celebrating, right? It's more exciting than just watching a video I've recorded. I could have just done that, but this is more fun. I enjoy it more. So why are we doing that? Obviously, we want email addresses because we just got an account removed. We have the email addresses no matter what Instagram decides to do, right? And there were so many people who came onto my post and they were like, you should just only have a website and you should only have Substack because you own it. I'm like, okay, but that's not where my ideal client hangs out. I'm not going to work against human nature and only be on LinkedIn, because 0% of my people spend their leisure time scrolling LinkedIn. And if you do, I mean, give her, but so not for me, right? So we're not going to work against human nature, but we are going to store up some assurances in case this happens again, because it could, right? So we're pulling people in with the call to action. We're putting them into a funnel. I use ManyChat because I pushed so hard against using ManyChat until I got all this flood of people. And then I was like, okay, fine, I'll use it. It's literally just an automation where they say a keyword and then it sends them a link. That's all. It's very easy. It's very easy to set up. They have an option where you can AI chat with people. I hate that. It's gross. All I want is the one that sends them the link so they can see my thing and I don't have to be on social media 24/7. Because yes, I use social media. Yes, I teach people about social media. All of these things I do, but I don't want to spend my whole life here. I want to go play in the river with my kids. I want to go on hikes. I want to lay in my yard in the sunshine, right? I don't want to spend my whole life on social media, but I do want to be successful and I do want to make more money. So that's what I'm teaching people. So as we're doing this flip-flop 2 kinds, we're bringing people into the freebie. And then what, right? Okay, we have a question here which I'm going to answer before I move on. How long is the longer video? Under 1 minute, if you can. So you'll see when you're going through, click on the insights for every single post, and there's a little graph that shows when people leave the video. So this little graph is one of the most important things you'll look at on Instagram. On those 8-second videos, I want you to just take your little finger and like drag it till you get to 3 seconds. If the video has them 70 to 80% or higher at 3 seconds, then you know how you have a banger and that's a good one. So recreate that headline. I know, 3 seconds. People have the attention span of a goldfish. I know, it's dismal, but it's true. We're not working against human nature. So 3 seconds on those 8-second videos. If it is like 75% or higher, then double down, do something like that again. If it's like 50%, then you know that wasn't a winner. Doesn't mean you're throwing it out. Doesn't mean you're deleting it, but you know that something in there has to change. Maybe the video has to change. Maybe the hook has to change. Something in there has to change. The talking head videos, I like to keep them under a minute because that's what my audience does. So you're going to want to try this. And so much of the beginning is trial and error. The thing that I didn't have to do with my account was trial and error because I've done this before, right? People are like, you got such great results. I'm like, yeah, I've done this before. When I start with a new client, they're like, I want the first post to take off. I'm like, okay, but we have to do a little bit of research because what you've done up until now hasn't worked. So we have to do some research to find out what the working is, right? So it will not be instant. And I will tell you that right now. But if you're diligent and you put in the things I'm telling you, you'll probably get a good one within the first week or so, and then you can double down on that. So for my account, 1 minute is like pretty much perfect because I can see the graph of like, they get to about, if I do one that's longer, they get to about 30-ish seconds and then they drop off. So we want to make sure that the part where it's really important, like you're telling them what you want them to do, those kinds of things, people always leave that to the end because they're like, I don't want to lead with asking them something. If they're dropping off before that part, then it's not a very useful video for your gains, right? Like if you know they're dropping off at 30 seconds, but you're not telling them that you want them to join your program or join your email list or whatever until minute 3, nobody's watching that part. So then it's not useful, right? So you can have the most nice video in the world. Like people send me beautiful scripts. And I'm like, this is heartfelt and wow, I feel so much big emotions. But if nobody's listening, then it's useless. So the biggest stumbling block people have is like trying to fight against human nature and don't. Just work with it. So instead, lead with that compelling thing, and then you'll probably get people going longer. So as we're doing this system, what kind of things do we have to change if you're like, okay, Stephanie, I did the talking head video and then I did the 8-second video. Nobody cared. Nobody watched it. What do we need to change? Okay, the first thing I'm going to tell you that you should change is we need a more sensational hook up here. So when you're filming, I literally want you to make sure that you have your head and then enough breathing room. People love to get right mug up in the camera. And I'm like, can we give a little space, right? If you're having a conversation with somebody face to face, you're not this close to their face. You're given a little breathing room. So make sure you have a nice clean background. I literally have this wall painted black in my house for making content because I make a lot of content. So I know there's a nice chair here. There's a good window over there. Every day I can sit here and make content. I don't have to like clean the rest of my house. I don't have to do any of these things. It's just here and ready. And I know there's enough space up here that I can put an actual caption, right? Like it seems basic, but so many people aren't doing things like this. And they're like, well, why isn't my video hitting? And I'm like, well, it's because you have bad lighting. You're in a really crowded, cluttered place. And all I can see is like your nose and your chin. And that's a little too much for most people. So just give them a little breathing room. Make sure that this video, this hook up here is the most sensational part of the story. I say sensational a lot. I have to get a tattoo that says sensational with like those little sparkle emojis because we need to pick the best part, right? So my story, I say from trad wife to rich lesbian, there are a lot of things I could have used to lead with that story, but that's the most sensational part, right? I could have said, I got divorced and then I made more money. That's who the fuck's going to watch that? No offense. Or I could have been like, I got married young and now I'm married again. Literally, no one cares. Sorry. The very exciting part is that I went from like being a trad wife, which it's great because that's also a keyword, right? We're looking for exciting keywords, things that people are searching. Trad wife is very searchable right now. And then from trad wife, which we know what that stereotype is, we're leaning into the stereotype. I wasn't 100% a trad wife. Like I had my own car, I wasn't actually churning butter. Do you know what I mean? But we used the story, the stereotype, and then going into rich lesbian. Lesbian is shocking because trad wife obviously indicates the opposite of that. And we know that the trad wife stereotype is not having money. So I basically did a 180. And people love stories like that. So whatever story it is that you're telling to build this brand, what's the most sensational part? And can you pull that out? Because that's what people want to hear. Am I saying that you have to make something up? Please don't. That will be weird when people find out, right? They'll be like, oh, that wasn't real this whole time. And then you'll have a major problem. So pick what is actually working in your life. And if you're like, well, there's nothing exciting about me, I promise you there is. I promise you there is. There's something that you've had to go through to make you want to live this entrepreneur life. Because zero of the entrepreneurs I've ever met are doing this because they're the kind of people with a boiled potato personality. None of them. You have to be on the edge of a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur. You have to be exciting. There's got to be something in you that's driving you to do this instead of working a very boring job where you can just make the money. I assure you there's something about that. And so when I work with people one-on-one or in a mastermind, I help you pull out what that is, but I promise you there's something in there. So don't be afraid to dig into what it is. Pull the sensational part of that story out and lead with that, right? So the sensational part of the story was that I lost my account and then I'm growing it to 100K, even though I haven't even hit 100K yet. The first time I said that, I was at 1.5 followers. My one follower was my wife. I was nowhere near that. But that doesn't matter because I was working towards it. So people love to come along for a journey. So even if you're I don't have the second half, right? So mine was the trad wife to rich lesbian. If you don't have that second half sorted yet, then take them along for the ride of getting there. Tell them what your goal is. I did a post the other day that said the biggest manifestation hack is letting people watch me want it. And people got crazy about that post. But it's true. Nobody wants to say this is what I want because they don't want to be embarrassed if they don't get it. And I say the opposite. I'm let them watch me try. Most of the population isn't trying anything. They're sitting on their phone. People want to watch you try. That's why we get behind athletes and sports teams. The Toronto Maple Leafs still have fans and they haven't won shit in forever, right? But people want to get behind it. They want to care about something. So you have to be able to pull that story through no matter what. That's what we're going to use for these. And then the same thing when we're doing those short videos, we're going to use those same hooks. So we're going to use keywords for your industry. We're going to use keywords from your story. And we're going to make sure that always, whatever hook we're pulling them in with is something that makes them care, something that makes them think about something that changes their perspective. The more you can do that, the more people will stay. Some don'ts for this is using a CapCut template and then having the CapCut branding at the end. If I see that, I will unfollow you. That's terrible. It's so bad. Come on, we can do better than that. Things like just using AI photos and then an AI caption. People can tell, we can tell when you've used ChatGPT for your caption and it's off-putting. Just write it yourself. You'll be okay. Other things to avoid is posting 5 times in a row and then ghosting for 3 weeks and then posting 3 in a row. All of those things are going to just show inconsistency to the algorithm. I'm posting 1 post per day on Instagram, 3 trial reels, and then 3 times a day on TikTok because I'm also trying to grow my TikTok at the same time because I was well, we're in a growth phase. Let's just double down. So all of these things together build this network of how you're going to grow on Instagram or TikTok. All of these things together, they work together. Okay, so we have a question in here that says, where do you put the keywords? The keywords are in the literal text. I wish that I could type on here and show you. The literal text above your head, You know, you can go to any of my videos and you'll see if I'm yapping, there's text above my head. And it's not like the words I'm saying in the caption, that's below. The actual just hook. So in there has to have keywords, and in the captions, I hate that this is the same word. The caption that you type out, not the things you're speaking, that thing has to also have keywords. So anything that people are Googling when they want to work with you. So what are their problems? This is why you need to do research on your clients. People hate doing that because they think research is boring, but data is sexy. I will say it with my full chest. Data is sexy. The more you know, the better you do. Every single time somebody joins one of my groups, one of my programs, they get a survey. And I say, hey, I need to know this information so that I can help you better. Yes, that's true. And also, I ask them very specific questions that get very specific answers. And then I use those exact phrases within my marketing. And then people DM me and they're like, I feel like you read my diary. And I want to say, no, I didn't. But someone just like you told me this exact same thing. And now I know what the real problem is. Because way too many people are building a business and their ideal client is them 5 years ago or them 3 years ago. And they're like, I just want to help people like me. Okay, but you don't actually truly remember the mental state you were in then. And everybody has a different experience of this. So using your memories now of where you were there 2 years ago, that's not correct enough data to actually build a marketing plan on. So when you work with me, like in the mastermind, like we're doing full on. I just sent an entire spreadsheet of all of the questions that we're going to ask to a new client, the one who has been stuck at 200 for this long. I'm like, every single person you worked with in the last year, we need them to answer these questions so we can get these exact things out of them. So we know exactly what to say because she needs more specifics. And if you're wondering, like, how do we get these specific things that I help people with? Get it from their actual mouth. Like, resist the urge to professionalize it and to pop it into AI and ask it what it thinks, because it will just remove the humanity out of it. What you want is the actual things people are sitting up worrying about. Like if I'm laying in bed at 2 a.m. worrying about something and then that exact thing comes across my feed and they say I have the answer to it, I'm going to click on it. Whether I have the money for it or not, I'm going to find a way because that's the thing I need. That's the thing that's bothering me. And so instead of me saying, photography and courses for people who own businesses, nobody would care about that. But if I say, hey, I work with coaches who made 100K a month in 2001, but in 2004 couldn't sell anything to save their life. That's who I work with. People are like, wait a fucking second. How did you know that? Well, because I did my fucking research, right? I know that. And then people come to me and they're like, oh, that's me. I need to work with you. I'm like, I know. I did my research. I know who you are. So the more research you've done, the more clear all of these things will be. Okay, switching back to some strategy. If you have over 1,000 followers, you can do something called trial reels. Let me know in the comments if you've ever heard of these. If you have over 1,000 people on your account, or you have like the meta checkmark thing that you paid for, then you can use something called trial reels. What do trial reels do? Well, they're an insane growth hack, which hats off to Instagram for giving us this feature. It takes the thing you've posted, it doesn't put it on your main feed, and it sends it to only people who don't know about you. What a gift, you guys. What a gift wrapped in a bow. All of the people who could be your ideal clients get to see something, and you get to have it as a testing playground. That's amazing. So if you're wondering, you're like, well, Stephanie, which of these keywords should I use? Which of these 2 headings should I use? I don't know. Use the same video, give it 3 different headings, put them all in trial reels, and choose the one that performed the best. It's literally the easiest way to grow things because nobody sees it. Nobody sees it except for brand new people, and it flops. Who cares? They just scroll past. It doesn't go into your future data. It doesn't get shown to people who are already following you. Nothing. It's literally only new people. So the strategy we're using is, we're using it for testing. Like I'll use it to test 3 different hooks, and then I'll take the one that I know has performed the best. I'll make that a main post. Once it takes off a little while later, I'm going to remix that post and I'm going to post it back to trial reels because I know that it's a winner. And then it's just going to bring in over and over again new followers to me. I have one sitting in my trial reels right now that has 3,000 new followers from it, from a trial reel. Guess which video it is? It's the first video I posted. It's literally the same video. It's just reposted and only going to a new audience. So there's a million tips, there's a million tricks that I can give you. And a remix is when you literally go to I wish I could use my phone to show you. You go to a reel, and on the side there's little 3 lines, and there's a little button that says remix. And you can like add something to a reel, you can remix anybody's, but you're remixing your own, and then you're putting it only into trials. So it's just basically reusing the same video, but instead of just reposting the same video, which you could get flagged for reusing content, what you're going to do is you're remixing, in which case it doesn't think you've already used this video, we're going to block it. It thinks, oh, this video is great, people want to reuse it. That's what it's doing. If you're using TikTok and Instagram, always post to TikTok first. She's just a greedy, greedy girl and she wants things first. Just do that. Even if it's 2 minutes before, it wants it on that platform first. Otherwise, it'll flag it and drop your account. So we've done a lot of teaching. We've had a couple questions through. If you have some big questions about your specific brand, please put them in the chat here, or let me know if you want to come live on to ask a question. But the basis of what I'm telling you is all of these tips and tricks that I tell you can either blow up your account and make it go viral, or they can frustrate the hell out of you and not get you anywhere, all based on how clear you are on your brand and who you're talking to. Because if we don't have those things down, none of the tricks I told you, you could make 10,000 trial reels and none of them will go anywhere if you're not super clear on that. And that's literally what I do inside of the mastermind. I also have a self-paced course that teaches you all these little things that I'll drop the link into you after. It's brand new and it's just being loaded up so you would have very first access. But all of these things, every single thing I tell you, unless you're very clear on what sets you apart, none of it will work. And that's like my full caveat. I'm not going to pretend things. I'm not going to gatekeep, but I'm certainly not going to say, if you follow these 3 steps, you'll for sure be successful. You will, as long as you are incredibly clear on what it is you're saying. Okay, I need a little sip of water. Daisy, you want to come on? How about you unmute yourself and come on? I'm excited for this.
Hi. Yay. How fun.
Hello.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking I was going to make it because it was working, but I got done early, so I'm like, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. Um, so there's a lot that I'm just starting to work with. I have 2 particular brands that I'm going to build, but right now, the one that I've been working on is Where She Is Called, and it's a bit of a I don't some of the different this is how you blow up kind of creators and people that are coaches on that. Usually you have a product. I don't really have a product yet. It's going to build and lead to retreats or gatherings and things like that. But this is kind of about rediscovering yourself and trying to find out what did you think love was and what do you think it is now after, being destroyed after 20 years kind of thing. And how to use that path. So it's kind of like, come along, follow me, learn what I'm learning, learn how to heal, what to do with that, ask the deeper questions, things like that. And how to redefine yourself. So some of the tricks, call to action, it's like, well, I don't have a strong landing place for them yet. The other one is I'm a hairdresser, and so the other one's is called The Crown and the Kitchen Chair, The Diaries of a Hairdresser. And so the idea is really kind of telling the stories of the experiences and people, the human component of life through being behind the chair on that. So I guess the question is, some of these, I've done the trial reels and I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm getting any followers from it. Yeah, so, which things are important? Are they just not going to land if I don't have a product or an ask or what?
No, they will, as long as you're clear. So what you told me, I'm still not sure what you do. So let's focus on the first one. first.
Yeah.
So you want to help people who have gone through something big and they want to find themselves. That's extremely vague. So I would say the very first thing you need to do is figure out how are you going to tell this story really succinctly and very clearly. What are you going to help them do? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So think forward to, okay, so eventually say in 1 year you're having this retreat, and what would people need to know from you before they would pay money to go to that? That has to be what your content is about. So they need to
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm like, why would I listen to you? So we have to know your story, why you're qualified to tell it, what you're going to tell people, how you're going to help them, right? Because a lot of people have been burned. There's 1.5 million people who say that they can change your life, but why are you going to be the one who does it? And like,
Mm-hmm.
not being negative, I'm saying like, these are things you need to answer for yourself, right? So why you? Why them? Why are they the ones who want to work with you? So again, you need to be clear on like, who is it that you do you want to work with only women? Do you want to work with only men? Do you want to work with only people who are 35 and a half and live on Vancouver Island? Like, be specific. Who do you want to work with? And it doesn't have to be the general like ideal client workup is usually like age, marital status, where they live, and how much money they make. I care way more about what life stage are they in, right? Like if you have little babies or you're retired, we're not selling the same things to you, but people could be both be the same age and be in that stage now, right? Like the world has changed and broadened so much that you're not having a baby at 21 and a half anymore. You could be 40 and having a baby. So I want to know life stage of the people you're talking about. Like, what have they gone through? And then you're going to speak so much to that. I want to know what qualifies you to teach them and lead them, even if the only thing that qualifies you is your learning along the way. Like, that can be it, but you have to be clear about it. I want to know what things you're going to teach them, like specifically. And if you just want to say spiritual modalities, like that to me isn't enough. I work with a lot of people in the spiritual space. I work with a lot of people in the coaching space. 99% of them can't say what they actually do for a client when they come on call. So that's your big homework, I would say, is what are you going to change for them? Because that
Mm-hmm.
transformation is the key. And once you can put that into clear words, you'll be off to the races. Then you can do, if you need a call to action, it can be follow you. It can be come join me live every Friday for a live chat. It can be a freebie you give them and then you collect their email address. And then when you're ready for the retreat, you have 10,000 people to email instead of zero.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why thinking about your goals is important because in my head, I have a client exactly who's doing this. She went through a big thing. She's teaching other people how to do it. And she's got a retreat coming up. This is exactly what I did for her. So we talked about, okay, what do people need to know before they get to the retreat? What do we have to get them to before then? And for her, we have like an end date in mind. Even if you know your retreat's not going to be in a year, pick it in your head and then work towards that, right? Like, what do all the people need to know? Even if you have to extend it, like, what do people need to know to be able to pay you? And it can't just be that you're friendly or that you're nice or you're fun. It has to be more than that, right? The thing that people are willing to follow me for is because I've proved that I can grow accounts. I've proved that being authentic is number one on my list, right? Like if they come to me to build an authentic brand, I'm like, yeah, I've like literally lived it. I've got pages and pages of hate comments to show that I'm willing to be uncomfortable to get what I want. That's the kind of thing we're pulling from. So whatever it is in your story that's compelling, that's
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to put into your content.
Nice. Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of
absolutely.
homework, but
Yeah, no, no, I get it. I get it. Um, yeah. It's just when you're like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What do you do after you get like ghosted after 20 years? I don't know. But I'm chose to stay on the planet, so I guess we're gonna figure it out together. And so it's like, look, someone else gotta have these same questions. So
right.
uh,
So there's
yeah.
like 5 hooks in what you just said, right? So I got ghosted after 20 years. What do I do next? Right? That's an 8-second video. In the caption, you're going to write out what you're going to plan to do next. Then you're going to do a talking head. I got ghosted after 25 years. Then you're going to talk about it, but you're going to loop it into how you're going to help them. Right?
Mhm.
So that's the sensational part. Or like I didn't think that I was going to, um, I didn't think that I was going to stay on this planet. That's a really, you had to be careful with that one. but that's a hook, right? So all of these things, like you've said them already, we have to talk about through like what's the sensational part of the story and how are you going to teach people it?
Hmm. All right, we'll get to work.
Okay. You'll do great. But yeah,
Thanks.
it's a lot of homework and like write it out. Like I get, like that craft colored wrapping paper you can buy.
Yeah.
There's like the ones that have all the grid on the back. I literally take a whole roll of that and I tape it up on my big wall and I get a Sharpie and I write every single thing. And then I mind map it out. Like if it feels too big, if you're like, well, I don't know what I do. I don't know what this is. I don't know how to like organize this. Like do something like that, especially if you're a creative person and like you're visual. Like write out like all the 50 things you know how to help people with. Write out
Mm,
all the 20 weird things that have happened in your life. Write out all the places you want to be in 20 years and then match them up. Like you
mm.
don't have to use every single thing you're good at or you care about as a business. There's lots of things that I do that are creative and fun, but I never charge for them because this lane is where I know that I can be authentic and can make money. So don't be afraid to like figure that out. Like, what will people actually pay for? What will the market bear? Right? Pick the things that you're good at and you care about and stick that lane and promote that. And then you'll have way less frustration.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Leo, do you want to come up and ask your question?
Hi. Yeah. Hi. I don't know if I have a question. I have the same story. Not same
Okay,
story. I lost
everyone
my
has.
account. I lost my account of 35,000 followers 10 weeks ago.
Oh my God.
And you are just like, yeah, caught my attention actually like 2 hours ago. So I jumped on this call. So what
Perfect.
you're doing is right. I have always been brand identity too. I have such a strong brand of chaos and motherhood. And I'm also a photographer. I'm in Red Deer.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
um, and I just like everyone, I get stopped in the grocery store constantly, like from my brand identity, which I believe so strong, but I keep having like this, my heart, it's like I haven't grieved the death in my business yet. Right. Cause like it was my whole community and I was able to basically accomplish any goal I had by just putting it on my story. Someone would be able to help me. Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like a slow roll. I'm at like 3,600 in 10 weeks. And it's been great. And like I've dialed in a lot of small business owners and photographers and everything. So I have like a masterclass that I put out in January. And I kind of went on to like more education. I sell out shootouts in like an hour or two. So I'm doing more education in that sense, but I don't really know what my question is. I'm feeling very flustered that maybe my voice isn't strong enough because I'm switching. I don't know because you've done so good and I loved everything that you just said and you're very easy to connect to and you have like a nice presence to you.
Yeah, and that I think is so much because I say it like it is, and I think
Mm-hmm.
people respect that. And so if you're hoping to build up the community, I think probably thinking first of all, grieve what happened. Like I had a crash out. I will be fully
Yeah.
honest. Like
Yeah.
I got like the notification that I went down as I was like getting in the car to drive to work with a client. I shot
Oh,
the whole huge
yeah.
brand shoot. I got back in my car and I sobbed the whole way home. Like I was a
Yeah.
disaster. And then I was like, okay, well, what can we learn from this? So I think that probably defining, first of all, grieve it. Second of all, define like where, if you're switching what you're doing, what part of it do you miss the most and what part do you want to recreate the most? If it's the community, then I would focus purely on building the community. And if it's more like the selling the new courses, then I would focus on that, but I would pick one of the two.
Yeah, that's what I'm struggling with because I love to shoot and I'm never like I do weddings, I do branding. It's more of like people that I choose, not jobs, right? Because like I
Hmm.
can, as long as I'm like having fun and we're creating something with like emotion and authenticity, then I am in, right? It's not necessarily like I want to just do weddings or I just want to do branding or I just, right? Like I built an identity on fun and light and balance between like work and home life, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like I don't have anything that like really jumps out that I could target because I like just people.
Okay,
Right?
fair. But I mean, even in that, I would say you could basically tell, like, have you told the story of losing your account yet?
Yeah, and I've gotten like 2,000 followers, and I should keep looping it on trial reels, and that's what it was, exactly that. Someone in my community reported me for child pornography, which is like my hook. Yeah. So good times. She was new back in town, and decided that I was the top competition, and gone. Same thing, deactivated 2 hours. I was at a gymnastics competition. My papa was dying. It was like I just didn't know what else to do. So I rebuilt within 2 days. Yeah. And that was my hook, right? She deactivated me. It went viral. I did remix it and it went again. Um, so I've just been playing around basically, but I haven't got the same growth. But I also didn't put in, like, it took me 8 years to grow the other account, and it was just kind of easy, right? Like, it just kind of, I just had a clientele. Now it's like rebuild. And like you said, there's an opportunity here. So
There is.
yeah. And I felt the same way. I was like, okay, now I can actually help people in real time.
Yeah.
Right.
So the part of that I would do a new series about how this went down.
Okay.
I would focus on two major things. I would focus on how you built this, like, because I can tell you, like, building a larger audience was easier 5 years ago.
Oh yeah.
You could
Right.
post
Then that's
whatever
when it
and
came.
grow, right?
Yeah.
People are way more suspicious now. So it is a huge opportunity. You're probably going to have more engaged people who are here now. So I would do two ways of doing this. I would loop in the story of, like, she was jealous and my whole brand is fun. Like, imagine how much fun she is if she's going to be reporting people and taking things down, and like not ripping on her, just be like,
Yeah. No, I never
like
did.
the
Yeah.
fun police. You could like literally call her the fun police. Like, the fun police showed up because my entire brand is built on my connection with you. How ridiculous is that? Let's show them a different way, and just be like, I'm going to show you a way to build a brand on fun. And I'm going to say, fuck it, you don't need a niche. You don't need anything. You need your personality and someone you vibe with, and it'll grow exponentially from there. Like, use that as the hook. And I bet you that'll bring in so many people who have that same like vibe
Okay.
as
Yeah.
you.
Because I'm not like an attacker. I'm not like a
No,
controversial. Like, I'm
and
like,
karma will get her. She'll be
oh,
fine.
I know. I was like, I
Yeah.
don't even want to touch her. I was like, whatever
No.
karma's going to do is way worse than anything I can do. And I didn't want to cause more drama, but I'm also like, this is how I rebuild, is this story, right?
Yeah.
Also, so like, I got mouth speed, like, right?
Yeah.
So like, sorry, but, and I also asked for more, right? How did you, like, were you sitting there? Like, I feel like for years I asked for more, and I put in the work, and I built, and I reprogrammed my nervous system, and I worked so hard, and I was like, I asked for this. Like, I asked to rebuild. So I asked to burn it to the ground and start again. So that's exactly what I'm doing. So, but it's like, it wasn't planned. So I'm like, oh shit, now I also need a plan. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh crap, now
Real
what do I
sense.
want to
Yeah.
do? Right. Yeah.
I
So
would
I
make
like that.
that
Okay.
kind of the second portion of this be like, my account got taken down. I would have deleted it anyways. Like, that would be a
Ooh.
crazy hook.
Okay.
Because then you can be
Yeah.
like, I asked for this. I asked for a second chance. And instead of getting to do it on my terms, I have to do it on these terms. And this is what I'm going to do to rebuild. Like, that kind of hook, I would be following you in a second with that. Like, just take the story and spin it like you just
Yeah.
got
You're
to,
really good at that.
it's what I do, girl.
I
It's
know
what I
you're
do, right?
incredible. I know you know that, and I love that you know that, but it's still nice to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, thank you.
you
But
are
like, that's what you
incredible.
need to
Yeah.
spin it, right? And
Yeah.
even with when you're starting to loop in what you do, right? Because I didn't go with just the story. I'm not even telling the story much anymore, but I'm still
Yeah.
telling my story. And my story leads into how I can help people because, like, I'm willing to be authentic at the cost of everything. Whereas you can say, I'm willing to have fun at the cost of everything. There's somebody else on here. She has a whole brand that's built on pleasure, not pressure. And she'll like, I'll never take a dollar out of pressure, only pleasure. Which like she talks a lot about, like, I don't know, it's like something to do with orgasms and finding a man. I don't know. I don't follow it because it's not for me. But like, that's her whole thing, is she's like, I will not take any money unless I feel like, hell yeah, this is gonna be the funnest thing ever. And I feel like that could also be a hook for you.
Okay.
Something around that of like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't, like, if we're not besties by the first call, I don't want to shoot your wedding. Like
Mm,
things like that. Like, I
that's so
really
good. Yeah. Yeah.
loop in what makes you happy, what makes, like, your vibe is what will attract the people. And that's what
Yes.
built the community in the first place.
Yes.
And that's what will rebuild it. So anything like that. And I would even like start to compile it. So I would do like 4 videos on like the one topic of like the fun police. And then I would do 4 on like the I would have burned it down anyways. And then I would start to loop in the 2 stories. So be like, I don't take any money unless it's for fun. And I had to rebuild my account anyways. So let's find only the fun people. And like really get people feeling they are part of the identity. Like I'm the fun person. I'm the one who wants to do this, that, and the other thing. Like get some videos of you doing
Yeah.
fun stuff.
I
And I'm
have
sure you
hundreds of videos of fun
Yeah.
things. Yeah. Shit, I should have been writing this down. You're a genius. Okay.
It's recorded. It's okay.
Okay, I can
So-
rewatch it. Okay.
Yeah. But this is how you're going to loop that in. So take the first story, take the second story, whichever one goes better, double down on it, run that for like a week and a half, then loop in your story and just like build it like a little pyramid.
And you run it on your like main feed, not your trial feed? Because like
I
I
would
feel
run
free on trial, right? I'm like, I'm free, no one's judging me.
But also what we want is like the reason that the trial probably brought you lots is because it was on your feed first. So the trial is good for testing. Like I'll put 3 hooks in for testing, but it's never going to hit like 50K views if it's just a tester.
I get
remix
50.
it will.
I got like I get 50, 60. I have a couple really good videos like of dumping paint on people, tripping down the aisle, you know, like stuff like that like have gotten 100,000 views, and then I throw it on my regular feed.
Okay. And so are people following you from that?
Yes, yeah, but not like crazy, like 20 to 50. The one that I threw onto my feed after like a month, it went up to like 2,500 or something.
Okay.
Or no, maybe not that high because I'm only at 35 or 36. So yeah, maybe 17-ish.
So for growth, like for strict views, then just play in trials and go crazy.
Okay.
But for this growth of getting new followers, especially when you're telling this story, put it on the main feed first and then push it over to trials with the remix.
Oh.
So literally just take
opposite. Okay, I was doing opposite. Okay.
So what I do, like when I'm testing a trial, I don't push it over to main. I create it again on main and then I double it in. And I'm not sure exactly why that is the case.
No, I love it.
But it is. And I'm not going to play because it works like a dream.
Yeah.
But for sure, put stuff like that in. And then you can even, I would really double down on this like fun police thing in the trial reels and like just do crazy stuff. But make sure you're calling them to like, please join my community. Like somewhere in there has to be like, get on board with me.
Yeah.
You know,
I know it's so weird. I never used to do that. I was like, I'm never chasing anyone, but it's true. They have to see it. Right. Like I felt like I was like, please follow me. And it was like, no, you either like me or you don't. Like, right. But it's so true. They have to read because they're like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to, my best friend, I didn't know I was supposed to like your post. I'm like, seriously? You have one job.
Yeah. But think of it less as like chasing and more of telling them what you want.
Yeah. I know. Being more direct
clarity,
and assertive.
Clarity is so hot and sexy. Like think about like, you know, being intimate with someone. If you can be like, this is exactly what I want, they're not gonna be like, no, thank you. Why did you ask that? They're gonna be like, hell yeah, let's go. Right? Like, you gotta just say what you need from people. Like I say that all the time. I'm like, I need you to do this. And sometimes people are like, I don't want to. And I'm like, sure, then you're not for me. Right.
Yeah.
But like, if you're talking about the fun police, if you're talking about like how you only work on vibes, like the people who are for you are going to fucking eat that up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But like the people who hire me are like, I need a fucking contract and I need to know what the deliverables are. And I'm like, yeah, girl, me too. Like, I don't play on vibes. I play on, I know exactly what to do. And can I get the result for you? We're opposite. Then that's perfect.
Yes.
That's perfect though, right? Like your whole thing is no niche. And mine is, I am so good at what I do because I only do one thing.
Yes.
And there's room for everybody. Like, this is why people are like, oh, like, why do you work with other photographers? Like, aren't you in competition? I'm in competition with no one.
No one. And
not one person.
Yes. And I totally am on board with that. Like, I'm like, I'll teach you everything I know because you can't replicate who I am.
Exactly.
Right? But I'm also a little mousy, right? like I'll get eaten by the hawk for sure, but I'm also like running really fast.
There you go.
Hey, Steph, could you repeat what you said? What order? I read somewhere too that it should only stay on the trials for like 48 hours and then it doesn't do anything and then you should move it over. But what are you saying the order should be?
Yeah. So I don't move it from trials. If I see it's performing well, then I make a new one, the exact same post. I don't move things over from trials.
They all stay there always.
Yeah. And then if they do really well, then I put them into trials from the main feed.
Okay. And so is there a way to build it and just copy it and then have it already made, or?
You could save it or you can make it in edits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, Steph.
You are welcome. So if you have more questions, like seriously, send me a DM. And this is like truly what we do. I have a mastermind called the Hot and Rich Mastermind because that's my goal for everyone. And what we do is we go through every single person's brand like this.
Okay.
So that might be a great option for you. Also,
Yeah.
just make sure that when you're doing all of this and you're doing like the fun police and stuff, like grab a couple of these little keywords and just test them out. And whichever one lands, like just double down on it and like don't be afraid to like go on it. Like I seriously, I use the phrase hot and rich like 1,000 times every single day. People don't get sick of it. It feels like they're sick of it because you're saying it.
Yeah.
Like whatever thing you land on, I would say like just go after it and use that in so many things.
Okay, I love that.
And then, yeah, make sure you, when you make this new one, send it to me because I want to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, you do.
I got you. I'll send you a shout out for all your help.
Of course.
On my little following.
Okay. Do we have any more questions before we are done here?
No, you did amazing.
Okay. So we're going to wrap it up now. I put the links for both of these, the mastermind and the Grow Like You Mean It. That is way more like these little questions, like when do I put into trials? All of those is in there. The mastermind is like me with like, you saw what I did in just like 4 minutes. This is me in your brand. And so for anybody watching the replay, let's go. If you have any questions, send me a DM. And thank you so much for everybody who is here live and everybody who's watching the recording. I love doing stuff like this. It's my favorite thing in the world, is helping people grow their accounts. So I will talk to you all soon and have a lovely, lovely day.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If this episode hit home, take a second to follow the show and share it with someone who's ready to lead louder. And if you are done playing small, come find me on Instagram at Westeros Media, because your vision deserves to stay alive without you having to chase it. See you next time.